Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we are seeing the further description given by Maitre Rishi about how during the course of time different kinds of creations are happening, different kinds of annihilations are happening. And here he is just giving a synopsis, a short introduction of that. And in the later verses, description about each different kinds of creations, everything will be explained further. There is one very nice anecdote which we find while Srila Prabhupada was present. So we all know about one of the very famous paintings of ISKCON, which is there on Srimad Bhagavatam jacket, the book Srimad Bhagavatam, the outer cover of that, the jacket of that, has a very beautiful painting of creation. So, once one devotee, Muralidhar, he painted this beautiful painting and brought it to the room of Prabhupada. So there Prabhupada was discussing something with Tamal Krishna Maharaj. And we know that Tamal Krishna Goswami at that time, he was practically among the servants of Prabhupada considered to be quite important leader at that time. And he had started assuming a lot of importance for himself. And he was one of the biggest distributors of Prabhupada's books in that Sankirtan party, bus Sankirtan party he had made at that time. So when Prabhupada saw that painting, then Prabhupada started explaining. So Prabhupada was explaining, that this is the spiritual world and there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets. So there is a eternal spiritual sky, and in that spiritual sky there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and then finally there is Goloka Vrindavan. And then in one corner of that sky there is this material existence. So in one corner of the sky, Mahavishnu lies down, and he is lying down in the causal ocean, and from his breathing and from his pores of the body, millions and millions of universes are coming out. So that picture is what we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam cover. So Prabhupada started explaining about that in the insignificant portion of the spiritual sky, Mahavishnu lies down, and there he creates from his bodily pores and from his breathing, millions of universes are coming out. And then, actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains what is this millions of universes compared to. So he compares them that in a sack of mustard seeds, huge sack of mustard seed, each universe is like one small mustard seed. There are innumerable mustard seeds are there. And then Prabhupada explains, the Lord further expands as Garbhodakshayi Vishnu enters into each different universe. And there he creates many planets, planetary systems. So out of them, this is one universe in which we are there. And in that universe, there are so many planets. In that planet, there is one planet called Earth. And on that Earth planet, there are many continents. And America is one of the continents. And in that America continent, there are many countries, many cities. And one of the cities is Los Angeles. Prabhupada is explaining all this. And in that Los Angeles city, in one of the street called La Cienega, our Hare Krishna temple is there. And in that Hare Krishna temple, in that one room, there is one person by name Tamal Krishna Goswami. And he is thinking he is a very important man. You see. So Prabhupada very nicely explains about the insignificance of this material creation and the importance which the living entity is assuming in this insignificant world. And he is thinking, isn't it? Prabhupada says, every living entity is thinking that he is the center. He is the center of the universe. He is the one who is controlling everything. So we can see here, these different kinds of creations are being explained. Prabhupada, he says in the purport a very important thing. The scheduled creations and annihilations take place in terms of the supreme will. There are other creations due to the interactions of material elements which take place by the intelligence of Brahma. See, the most important creation is done by the plan of the Lord. It is done by the supreme will of the Lord. The creation of these material elements, the ingredients which are required for further subcreation, the creation of the devatas, who are the controlling deities of the different affairs of this material world. All these elementary creations are done by the Supreme Lord. The universe is created from the pores of Mahavishnu. And then further, the interactions of these different material elements, earth, water, air, fire, ether, like that, all these different elements, they interact with each other. There are secondary creations. Those creations are done by Brahma. So actually, the most important understanding, the point Prabhupada is bringing about, is that all these creations are done by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And why these different creations are done, because here we are seeing creation means there is maintenance. Creation means after some time there is annihilation. Just try to understand this very simple understanding. Just imagine you build one house and you leave it without maintenance for some time. If you go inside it, actually you can see it becomes a dungeon, it becomes like a jungle. Doesn't look like anymore like a house. Correct? So it's not just the creation requires maintenance. Not that it is created and it is left to itself. We can see that if we create a house, if we leave it to itself, after some time you cannot inhabit it, you cannot live there. So it requires a maintenance. Similarly, there is a purpose of creation, there is a purpose behind maintenance, and there is a purpose behind even annihilation. So let us try to understand what is the purpose. Why does, Prabhupada is saying here, all these scheduled creations, after some time there is a creation, then there is maintenance for some time, then after some time there is annihilation. So it's all going on in cycle. Scheduled creation, it all takes place in terms of supreme will. What do you think is the most, what is the purpose behind the creation, the maintenance, and there is a purpose even behind the annihilation also. You create something, right? Do we like to annihilate it? Suppose you spend thousands of dollars, thousands of rupees you spend, lakhs of rupees you spend and create a huge mansion, a huge building. You would like it to be maintained eternally, at least for longer time. You would not like it to be annihilated. You would not like it to be destroyed. Isn't it? So when we destroy it, there is a purpose behind it. Suppose the building has become old, you destroy it and you build it another huge new building. It's not that you simply create and you simply destroy it for fun. Correct? So what is the purpose behind creation, maintenance, and finally even annihilation? We are seeing here there are different kinds of annihilation. Due to scheduled time of annihilation of entire universe, due to fire which emanates from the mouth of Ananta, due to one's qualitative actions and reactions. So different kinds of annihilations are also there. What is the purpose behind this? Why the Supreme Lord is doing all these things? Anyone? What is the purpose of creation? To fulfill the desires of living entity, the Lord gives a platform where they can try to satisfy their illegal desires. Their desires independent of the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada gives an example, just like the mother. The mother is cooking and she is cooking with huge stove, big kitchen is there, big stores are there. There is a gas and so many different kinds of utensils are there. Sometimes we find the child, he also wants to cook. The child also wants to cook. So mother, in order to satisfy the desire of the child, will not hand over that huge kitchen. The child will make a mess of the whole kitchen. So the mother may purchase a toy kitchen toy utensils and give it to the child. And the child is busy playing with that, all his assemblies. So similarly, the Supreme Lord, to satisfy the desires of the living entity, He creates this material world. And then, even the maintenance, in order for them to satisfy their desires, the Lord provides all whatever is required to satisfy those desires. We require a body, the Lord gives us a body. The body requires a maintenance, the Supreme Lord provides for the maintenance of this body. So all the different kinds of bodies, everything. The sun is there for the maintenance of this material universe. Moon is required for the maintenance. The demigods are required for the maintenance. Right? Just like for a city to run, different officers are required, different managements are required, different laws are required. So all these the Lord has put into place for the maintenance of this universe. Why? To satisfy our desires. Then why there is annihilation? The Lord is satisfying our desire. He is maintaining everything. Then finally why there is annihilation? Anyone? Anantarupa? To cut down the false ego. Not exactly. Anyone else? Garuda Duja? No, but what is the most important purpose of the Lord for annihilation? What is the purpose? Maybe annihilation happens in different times. For Brahma, the annihilation is happening at a longer time. But what is the purpose behind this annihilation? Yes. The most important reason, bhutva bhutva praliyate, is to make the living entity understand the temporary nature of this material world. Actually, the desire of the living entity is to be eternal. That's why happiness we want eternally, relationship we want eternally, life also we want eternally. We don't want to die. Only when problems are there we think about ending our life. Otherwise, if the life is going on smoothly, nobody likes to give up this life. Everybody is very attached to the body, isn't it? Prabhupada gives the example. Sometimes, out of ego somebody may say, no, I am not afraid of death. Then Prabhupada gives the example that if I announce that now there is going to be a bomb blast here, you will be the first one to run out of this building, isn't it? So everybody is attached to their life. Even they are living a horrible life, somebody is living only for a few days, even they want to leave, isn't it? So our original nature is eternal. Original nature is eternal Ananda. Now when we have come to this material world, the nature of the material world is temporary. Material energy is not temporary. Material energy is permanent. That also Prabhupada is making a point. The impersonalists, they are thinking material energy is temporary. No. Material energy of the Lord is permanent. Manifestation of that energy is temporary. That happens again and again. So, in order for the living entities to realize that actually this is temporary material manifestation, why I should become attached to it? Again, if I have to leave this, why I should become attached? Just imagine, suppose you are traveling in a train. Do you become so attached to your seat? We understand, this station, this seat is allotted to me. After I get down, this seat will be allotted to somebody else. It is not my seat permanently. But just imagine, even for that short duration, for few hours, 4 or 5 hours, we become so attached to that seat. Similarly, for many numbers of years when we live in this body, when we live in a place, we definitely become attached to it. So the Lord wants us to realize that actually this is not a permanent place. In Bhagavad Gita, along with this understanding that this material manifestation is a temporary place, next shloka itself, Krishna gives the information, apart from this temporary material nature, there is a permanent nature. Parastasmatu bhavo anyo. This is also bhava. Bhava means nature. There is another nature which is permanent. What is this material nature? What is the quality of this nature? Bhutva bhutva praliyate. This comes in 8th chapter, 19th shloka. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. There is a creation, again there will be annihilation. And the very next verse, 20th verse, Krishna explains, apart from this temporary material existence, there is permanent existence. Parastasmatu bhavan, which is vyakta, avyakta, apart from even vyakta, manifested world or unmanifested world. So much of material world is not manifested before our eyes. It is unmanifest to us. So apart from that, there is spiritual world, which is sanatana. And if we reach that spiritual world, we don't have to come back to this material world. So this is one thing Krishna wants us to realize. Next, another important thing Prabhupada explains, the Lord wants us to realize in this material world is that this material existence in which we are placed again and again, even when we are placed for temporary time, first thing Krishna wants us to realize is, it is not eternal. It will be vanquished. It will be finished. Whatever I have worked so hard, day and night, life after life, it will be vanquished at one point. This is one thing Krishna wants us to realize. Another important thing Krishna wants us to realize is, even in that temporary time in which you are living, that is also filled with hard struggle for existence. Not that the temporary life which you are living, that is wonderful and you are very happy all the time. No. First of all, it is temporary. Whatever happiness you try to amass, it will be all finished one day. And in that short life of span also, it is hard struggle for existence. That is why Darwin theory is there. Survival of the fittest. Why? There is so hard struggle going on. Actually, there is enough food, but we are finding people are not getting even one meal sometimes. Big social organizations are there trying to take care of poverty, trying to take care of unemployment, trying to take care of hunger of people. People are not getting even one meal. In African countries you will find, even in India you will find, hardly they get even one meal. Whereas earth can produce so much more produce that 10 times the population of earth actually can be fed. Isn't it? So what is the problem? Krishna wants us to show that how there is a hard struggle for existence. And only those who are supposed to be so-called fit, they will survive. Survival of the fittest. And factually nobody will survive. Isn't it? So this is another important thing Krishna wants us to understand. So in that shloka it says, Prakrite Vashat. We are completely under the grip of stringent laws of nature. So Krishna wants us to realize that why are we subject to so many laws? I don't want to die. Why am I subject to the law of death? One fine day I have to die. I don't want diseases. Why I should suffer from diseases? Yesterday I met one of our donors, Ganesh Kamath. They run that Kamath Yatri Niwas. And he was surprised. He was telling that my brother, he was just 59 years old. And just one month back, he passed away. Every day he used to get up by 5 o'clock, do exercises, everything. And he had no bad habits of even smoking or drinking. And no hereditary, any kind of disease. But he got cancer. Then 10 days before that, he was admitted to the hospital. And one fine day he died. See? So nobody wants to die. Nobody wants diseases. We may take so many different kinds of pratikaram. So many different kinds of, from our side we may try cautions. But diseases will come. So, this is another important point which Krishna wants us to realize. An intelligent person should ask this question. Why am I under the stringent laws of nature? So this is another important point. Why Krishna places us in this temporary material world under stringent laws of nature, so that we can question and we can try to find a solution to this. So this is another important point. But then Prabhupada says, apart from few fortunate living entities, the living entities have become very dull. They have become very dull. How dull they have become? Prabhupada says, when you are accustomed for longer time to certain condition, what happens? We become accustomed to those conditions. Prabhupada used to give that example that once there was a lady, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gives this story. Once there was a lady, she was living in Bengal, and in Bengal, you know, most of the times people, many people especially, they live on, their livelihood is on fishes. So day and night they are in that, trade of fishes, eating fishes, drying fishes. So practically their whole life is passed in that. So once this lady had to go to one town, a separate different town, and so she packed her baggage outside and she thought that this other lady in whose house I am going to take rest, if I sleep in her house with my fishes, maybe she will not be able to adjust. So she kept her fishes outside and she went to sleep. But whole night she was not able to sleep. And then finally she thought, better let me bring my fishes back. She brought that fishes back into the room, and then soundly she was able to sleep. You see? If we go to that places, sometimes you would have passed, when the moment you pass through the coastal areas, even in Karwar or near to that side, Mangalore side, you have to, block your nose practically. It is so dirty smell. But those people who are living at the coastal area, for them it is not dirty. For them they have become used to it. And if the fish smell is not coming, they find something is abnormal. For them that is a normal condition of life. So this is how we become accustomed to it. We have become accustomed to birth, death, old age and disease. And that's how you find. People are carried to the Shamshan, they are burning their own father, their grandfather. Not even for a moment this thought will come. One fine day I will also be carried like this. Let me try to understand what is the value of this life. I'm struggling so hard for this temporary life. What is this life meant for? So we have become so dull, actually. But by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by the mercy of great acharyas like Prabhupada, if we spread this Krishna consciousness movement to people, we can make them fortunate again. So, this is the whole plan of the Supreme Lord of again and again creation and annihilation. All these different creations and annihilations. Why we have to understand is the basic purpose behind this creation, the basic purpose behind the maintenance and the annihilation, that there is a plan of the Lord, and the plan of the Lord is that we understand the temporary nature of this world and we aspire to go back to Godhead. So we'll stop with this. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.